I thank the gentleman for yielding. I would like to speak in opposition to the amendment. This is one of the most profound moral, constitutional, financial issues that we ever face here. We faced it many times. I doubt very much there is a member who's not grappled with this issue in some context, which is not to suggest that our debate should not be meaningful and should be as involved as people want it to be. But I do think this is an issue people have probably thought a lot about. And I did want to share my own thoughts on my own reason for being in opposition. Roe versus Wade establishes as a constitutional right, under the rubric of privacy, the right for women to choose to have an abortion under certain circumstances. It is one of the few constitutional rights that I can think of that does depend upon having access to income to exercise it. One can exercise the First Amendment right by standing on the street corner and speaking one's mind. By contrast, one cannot have the right to effective counsel in a criminal proceeding without the funds to pay a lawyer. And so because some people don't have the funds to pay the lawyer, it's part of our jurisprudence to provide a publicly funded lawyer so the person can have that right. I think the woman's right to choose falls in that second category. It is a right that you cannot meaningfully exercise if you're a person who's not of significant income and chooses to have an abortion. Now, I know there are people who disagree with that view very strongly, going back to our friend and former colleague, Mr. Hyde. But I think that's squarely what this issue is here. If we are to accept the proposition, which I think is indisputable, that there is presently a constitutional right of a woman to choose to have an abortion, then I believe it must follow here that for her to have the meaningful right to exercise that right, that prohibiting, in this case, prohibiting the subsidies that exist in the exchange from being used to help her pay for a policy that provide those services is unconstitutional, in my view. Morally, I think that this is a decision that should be between the woman and her God and her doctor. I understand that the counter objection is that taxpayers should not be compelled to pay for something with which they strongly morally disagree. Frankly, there are a range of moral beliefs in society, but I think we accept as one of our responsibilities in society as helping to finance what goes on in the community, whether we agree with it or not. There are many Americans who disagree with the death penalty. They feel very strongly that the death penalty is highly immoral. But we do not permit those individuals to withhold taxes from the correction system that executes people. So I feel very strongly that the Hyde Amendment's wrong, and this really is the same issue. And I think to deny individuals the right to exchange subsidies in the exercise of this constitutional right is incorrect. So I oppose the amendment on those grounds and yield back.